Hi, everybody. My name is Jason, and I am here doing hopefully should be a recurring series where I'm going to be interviewing young, up-and-coming Wisconsin independent professional wrestlers. I'm a big professional wrestling fan, and these are the guys and gals who don't get their stories told as often as they should. I'm going to introduce you to one of them today, with the first little guest here being Lauren Lockett recently debuted. Am I correct?
Yeah, so I had my official like singles debut with ACW just about a month ago at the Rumble there. I did like some side shows with them before that, but that was like my first like main show with them.
So how long have you been active then since you completed your training? Would you say like a couple months?
Yeah, so I began training in June of 2023. I had like an injury in there playing rugby, which set me back a little bit. But I've been working on shows since just March of this year, 2025.
Yeah, that's amazing. I actually do recall, for those of you who didn't know, I briefly attempted to make a try at being a wrestler myself. Was more hoping to be a manager, but Lauren was actually not, kind of visiting in and putting in the work on that class, doing some extra work. So always been dedicated without a doubt.
Mhm.
So, what big question, obviously, when you're talking to somebody, whenever they do any job that's out of the ordinary, is what's the inspiration? What drew you to wanting to wrestle?
Well, I grew up watching wrestling. I started watching, I think it was like it was either kindergarten or first grade when my best friend at the time, he was like super obsessed with it, had all the toys, like always was always watching and talking about it. He eventually like showed me all about it, and I just fell in love with it right away, all the different characters, and then just also like the physicality of it. Um, it was always something like in the back of my mind that I was like, oh, that'd be like so cool if I could actually do it. But I was always like, I don't know if I could until it wasn't until I was in college once I saw ads for the ACW Academy. I was like, oh, this is something that it's possible that I can do. So I gave it a shot.
Just an FYI for our viewers or people viewing this, ACW is a local promotion run out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin by former WWE superstar Dylan Post, aka Hornswoggle, and his tag team partner and good friend Nick Colucci. What would you say was the easiest thing or the most enjoyable thing about training, and what was definitely the hardest thing about training for
Ooh,
you personally?
that's a go on. I think building that sort of confidence in myself is something that like I took away from it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun like developing that character and like figuring out the moves and all that, but there's like a lot that you learn about yourself in the process of like learning how to wrestle. That and also just like all the people that are around you, they really bring out the best in you. Um, Probably one of the hardest things for me personally is that feeling when you can't get a move quite right. Like I've had a couple I've had a couple of moves where I've like really wanted to do them, and like I've tried and tried and tried for weeks and weeks, trying attempt after attempt, and like it just doesn't go well, and it just eats at me. Like why can't I do it? Why can't I? But when if you are like able to like get it on later down the road, it makes it a lot more like satisfying, I feel.
Absolutely. I mean, the old practice makes perfect cliche, and anything worth succeeding at is going to require time and effort. How would you describe your wrestling style to people who are getting ready to see you for the first time in the ring?
Yeah. So I bring a lot of inspiration from like ECW and kind of like ECW adjacent wrestlers. My favorites growing up, Rob Van Dam, Jeff Hardy, all those like sort of like heavy hitters where I really like the style of wrestling where it's just using your body as a weapon. Um, so I try to implement a lot of that into my work. I also take a lot of inspiration. I am very involved in like my local punk scene. So I draw a lot of that in like sort of my character where it's very much just like me in that sort of setting. Um, so I love bringing that like punk aesthetic, like sort of vibe to my wrestling as well.
Absolutely, and the most successful characters in all of wrestling history are just a person's personality ratcheted up to 11. So
Absolutely.
no argument there. Do you design your own gear? Or with the punk, with the punk inspiration, I imagine that's something that a lot of people would probably be curious about doing.
Yeah, so pretty much all of my gear I at least like design and like make myself. I know I have my stuff right around over here somewhere. My shorts, I got like the shorts online, but then I handmade and painted all of like the patches on there and sewed them all on myself. All the patches that I have on my shorts are um bands that I've either played with on shows. There's a couple of them on there that are bands that I'm actually in. But all of them are super cool people that I think make great music, all local to the Point area here. Well, I think one of them is Green Bay, but um, all of them super local. All of my like tops that I've make again, I design them all, I paint them all. Makes it quite a bit cheaper for me. For sure. I also just enjoy making that sort of stuff. And it really fits that sort of punk aesthetic, I feel.
Absolutely. So, diverting a little bit, so you play in bands and music. Are you the bassist, the drummer, and how long until we see you start pulling Jeff Jarrett, the old El Kabong out then?
Yeah, so I now mainly I'm doing a lot of drumming. I have two bands here in Point that I drum for. One of them, Sorcerer's Stoned, which is a bit more like grungy, kind of like metal style stuff. And then another band, Misused, where we play a lot of like pop punk type stuff. I am also in another band. We don't play nearly as much because we're all a bit moved away and spread out now, but we still try to have fun. I play bass for them, and that's Roadside H.
Oh, that's very nice. Well, there's some new bands for anybody who's looking for new music, especially if you're
Yeah.
local to the Wisconsin areas. Who has given you in your brief career your best piece of advice, at least to you personally? I know everybody views advice differently in terms of what's the most helpful.
hmm So there's a lot of people that I've gotten a lot of good advice from. Probably the person who I've gotten the most advice, especially stuff that's like helped me out a lot, is Nick Colucci. He was one of the head trainers at my school. Just one of those guys that like I can go to if I'm ever like kind of thinking about like a move or like a sequence that I'm like thinking about, and he can always critique it. I send him pretty much all my matches that I have him look them over, critique them, and I've just learned a lot from him.
Any modern wrestling, or are you not tapped into that into the scene today? Or I know a lot of people, some people say it's just better back in my day growing up, and
Mhm.
kind of got away from them. We're kind of in the era of that.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think the kind of wrestling that like I want to watch is very dependent on my mood at the time. I keep up to date with the modern product, mainly like with WWE. It's something I'm still interested in. My girlfriend is a big like WWE fan now. So she always likes to stay up to date on that stuff. Um, so yeah, I definitely watch the modern product. And I think it's good for the most part. There's some stuff here and there I don't care for, but I think overall it's a good product.
So, so in 6 months, let's say to a year, what are some of your big goals? Are you just looking to get booked for matches on, more like a bi-weekly basis, working
hmm
certain towns or promotions that you're aware of on the indie scene? Or is this just, kind of you're taking it slow kind of thing, and this is like a pet project for you?
hmm No, I don't want to go slow at all. I don't feel I want to this like whole summer and like throughout the rest of the year. It's trying to get anywhere and everywhere as much as I can. I want to be wrestling as much as possible, just getting my name and face out there, and then letting what I do in the ring kind of speak for me once I get there. I would love Milwaukee is a big one for me. I really want to get down to Milwaukee. Eventually, a bit more long term because I know it's a bit harder getting down to Chicago. Um, but anywhere all throughout Wisconsin, maybe even a little bit further. But yeah, trying to just get everywhere I can.
Absolutely. So you've worked you've worked in your recent matches. You've worked a lot with men. Are you at all interested in working kind of a mix of intergender, or or are you just kind of you're down for whatever is kind of you're kind of booked for?
It's I would say it's down for pretty much whatever I'm booked for. I've only had two matches in my short career thus far against another woman. Um, Everything else has been with guys, and that's mainly just because of there's just a lot more men in wrestling than there are women. I'd love to have more women's matches. They're just a little bit harder to come by around Wisconsin, I've noticed. But I'm down for whatever. I don't care, man, woman, big, small, down to fight anyone.
Yeah, that's good to know. So, is there anything that you would want to say to anybody who's, either wants to get into whether it be the wrestling business or the local wrestling scene, or even if they just want to, any advice for anybody who say wants to, get into punk music, for example? Anything you want to lay down here now? This is a bit of your time now.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest qualities that like people who like have kind of a shot at like sticking around for a while is just being a good person and like being enjoyable to hang around. I've noticed that a lot in both like punk scenes and like with wrestling. It's much better to like just be fun to like have around like in the locker room or like backstage, however, like whatever the scene sort of is. Um, it's more about like who you are than kind of what you can do. There's certainly aspects to it where obviously, yeah, you kind of need to carry your weight and still be confident in what you do. But I think a lot of it is more in just who you are as a person and not being a terrible person, I guess. I don't know.
Fair enough. What would you recommend? What's your workout regimen kind of like? Or are you more of a diet type of person? How do you feel your best, going into matches or punk shows? Like how do you try to take care of yourself now?
Yeah, so I try to work out as much as I can. Typically that's about like I aim for like 3 times a week. My schedule is pretty busy with a lot of other stuff where I can't hit that like full 5 or 6 days. I know some people do that, and also typically when I'm going in the gym, I go pretty hard on myself. Try and sneak in cardio also whenever I can. I've been going on more runs lately. Another big thing that I've been getting into a lot lately is stretching. Um, Recovery is like a big thing that I really want to improve on, like within these next couple of months. I think that's a very overlooked part of health. Um, Obviously, I don't keep super hard track of my diet, but the stuff that I try to make a lot of my meals at home and be mindful about like what I'm cooking, but I don't like ever like track down like my exact meals, but I try to be mindful about what I'm putting in my body.
All right. Is wrestling more of a means to end for you to travel, make friends, or a combination of the two? Or do you feel like this is something where if everything breaks right, or if you put in enough hard effort, this is something where Lauren Lockett could be maybe not a household name, but she's doing it more than once a month in, the union halls.
Yeah, I'm kind of taking it as it goes right now. I'd like to take this as far as I can. Where that sort of limit is, we'll have to kind of wait and see. But yeah, I'd like to be wrestling as much as possible wherever I can. Um, it's the friends that I've made through wrestling have been super cool. Some of my closest friends. Um, and I'm just hoping to keep on riding that momentum.
Absolutely. And is there anything that does scare you kind of about the professional wrestling journey? Is it are you worried about maybe the travel or getting hurt at all, or are you just again taking it day show by show?
It's probably more show by show. Probably like my main concern with wrestling is um, there can be a lot of cost that goes into it. Um, a lot of I feel like a lot of wrestlers can agree with this, where um, you're not making a whole lot from these shows. A majority of like the revenue that I make from these shows is from selling merch. Um, so when I have a good day selling merch, then I have a good day with making money there. But I'm lucky if I'm not really selling that much on merch, if I'm breaking even just on gas from going to and from. So that's kind of like the main sort of hurdle that I kind of run into. But like I said, I just kind of damn taking it show by show, seeing where I can go.
All right, that's a good thing, good mentality to have. I'm going to give you the floor here if you want to plug any of your social medias or any storefronts that you have, or any like social medias for your bands or anything here as we wrap this up.
Sure. You can follow me on Instagram. That's my main one that I use. It's I believe it's Lauren Lockett underscore ALI, always locked in. Um, you can follow me on TikTok as well at Lauren Lockett. You can also find me on Facebook again, Lauren Lockett. Uh, for bands, you can follow us on Instagram. We're still working on wrapping up our first album and getting that on all the streaming platforms and whatnot. You can follow us at sorcerers.stoned. And then misused. I can't remember the exact handle off the top of my head, but it's two separate words, MISSUSED, misused.
All right, and I would just like to thank anybody and everybody who ends up watching this. And I would also want to thank Miss Lauren Lockett for her time. I would also like to thank everybody who supports wrestling, big and small. Go out to your local independent shows, no matter where you are in the world. You'll see some of the most bizarre and amazing things if you go to local indie wrestling. And with that said, I will bid you all adieu. And until next time.